All right, so today I'm gonna go on a little walk out here in the snow. Supposed to get frozen mix going, but I got a waterproof phone, and I need to talk today about gender roles and warnings. I got a lot of thoughts about this I'd like to share. Quite a few. Hopefully I can do so in an organized, coherent manner. But I see a lot of problems arising in today's world over confusion about gender roles, how men and women should be, which is really silly. I've got some ways to illustrate this. Some months ago, I was at a little fireside thing at the church. I think it was the one where it was for the youth. It was not well attended, just a few people there. Had the bishopric, and I was there with my daughters. I wanted to attend to see what they were going to say, because they were talking about the new For Strength of Youth handbook, and I did a video after that about it, and same-sex attraction. I did a video that has had quite a few people got people mad at me. That's all right, I don't mind. In fact, I kind of enjoy it. But anyway, after that little fireside, they had refreshments, and some of the moms who the youth young women leaders, they were moving some furniture around, and I got on their case and I said, hey, why are you ladies moving these tables and chairs around when you got some men here to do it? And they remarked, well, a woman needs to be strong and independent. Woman needs to be strong and independent. And there's some truth to that, but it's how you do it, how you do that really matters. And I told them, I said, hey, you need to be careful with that. Many a fair maiden has lost many a mighty man by not letting him do his job and stepping into his role. And I don't think they really thought very much about that. One of the reasons I said that is recently I'd watched the latest Amazon series, the Reacher series. Big Mr. Muscle Man comes into town, and there's been a murder, and anyway, it's actually a really cool series. But there's a romantic relationship that develops between Reacher and this really attractive female deputy sheriff. And spoiler alert, at the end, he leaves. And when I first saw that really ticked me off. It's like, what kind of man is that? Goes and knocks her up, and then at the end he just leaves when it's no longer convenient to be in town. But then I started thinking about that. It's like, why did he leave? And the answer is actually very, very simple and very obvious. He didn't really have a purpose in being there. And she was far too strong and independent for him to feel like he had a real purpose in sticking around, being a part of that relationship. She was very strong, very independent, very capable, and had made it very, very clear again and again and again that she really didn't need him. She could take care of her own problems and take care of herself. And she sure as hell wasn't going to take any of his advice unless it happened to suit her at the time. And so, end of the day, she lost. She lost. If that had been different, if she had been in some ways more feminine and had allowed herself to make more of a display of weakness and vulnerability, if, you know, she had been his little hummingbird, you know, and where he felt that she really needed him as a provider, protector, all that, I think he would have stuck around. So that's just one example where we see this kind of thing taking place. In a flight crew, we have the same sort of phenomenon. You have a captain, the pilot in command, he's the captain. And at the beginning of the day, he's going to look at the flights that are planned. He's going to evaluate the weather, the performance, the fuel planning. And depending on what's going on, he's going to discuss these things with his first officer. But at the end of the day, he's going to make the call. How much fuel are we going to take? What route are we going to request? And how are we going to deal with difficult questions and situations as they may arise? A captain has a role that he plays, especially when dealing with passengers. If there's problem passengers, the captain will typically take the lead in those communications and dealings to solve problems. And there's going to be technical questions that need to be answered and directions that need to be given to, like, the line guys, the various people that provide services for the flight crew for the airplane. But what happens when the first officer comes along and decides that he should be in charge and starts giving orders, doesn't tell the captain, doesn't coordinate, and starts doing stuff on his own? That becomes a huge problem, And so it can be kind of sticky when you get two captains that are paired together. One is assigned as the pilot in command, the other is assigned as the second in command. And if you're a captain, you're assigned as the SIC, the second in command, you need to step back and do your job. And that way, everything is done that needs to be done. Nothing slips through the cracks. There's not miscommunication, and things typically work out quite well. And of course, where there's safety issues and difficult decisions, a good flight crew is going to coordinate that, discuss it, and they're going to together arrive at decisions they can both agree on. For me as a captain, I'll always tell my first officer that I will always agree with the most conservative solution. So if I'm going to do something, if I'm planning on something that the FO doesn't like, is feeling uncomfortable with, just speak up, and I'll try to accommodate that. And so when it comes to gender roles, we've had an awful lot of problems arise in the last 100 years. And it's understandable women feel and have been treated like they felt like they've been treated badly, and many times they have been treated badly. I don't dispute that. Don't dispute that at all. And I too believe that at the end of the day, women should be allowed to do just about anything a man can do. I don't dispute that either. On the other hand, if you are trying to accomplish the objectives that God has outlined for us to pursue and to accomplish, then you should consider the possibility that maybe there's some wisdom in the gender roles that are set up and should be followed in the traditional family. And so for me, I just did a video about spouse selection, how to have a happy, successful family. I was looking for a wife who was going to respect those traditional gender roles and had value to bring to the table in that capacity. I wanted to marry a woman who was going to be happy to be a homemaker, to be a mother, to be a supportive wife, someone who is going to be economic and discerning, and be someone who would work hard at my side in managing the home, taking care of these kids, raising these kids in truth and righteousness. And I don't think there's anything demeaning about that. Nothing at all. On the other hand, when you have women who decide that they want to have their cake and eat it too, that they need to be strong and independent and have their careers and be very, very sophisticated, and to do all the things that men typically do, that's going to create a lot of huge problems in a lot of ways, and it's kind of sad how a lot of these women figure out down the road that really they're not happy. If you got to wake up to a bottle of vodka just to cope, then maybe there's something wrong with your life. These women that all of a sudden realize in their late 30s and 40s and 50s that they want to have a husband, they want to have kids, they want to have intimacy, and that all of a sudden these things matter. They can't find husbands because they've already given it all away. They're not virtuous. They're too strong and independent to be attractive to anybody. So that's a problem. That's a huge problem. The other night at the dinner table, we were talking about the movie, I think it's also a play, called Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. And that discussion was resumed when I was going to bed, talking to my wife about gender roles and so forth, and it was pointed out that a lot of people really thought that movie had some objectionable things in it, and that it's kind of offensive to your modern woman who is somewhat woke, feminist, and so forth. But I thought that movie had a lot of great messages in it myself. some fantastic messages. Yes, definitely sexuality was a big part of the theme of that movie, that play. But it also demonstrated the reality that exists between men and women. You got these rustic outdoorsmen living up in the mountains. Their parents are both dead. Oldest brother Adam decides that, you know what, I want to be married. I want to have a wife and kids and find a woman that can work by my side, and I want to fulfill the measure of my existence. Now at that point he realized what he wanted. He didn't really realize the best way to get it, but he went and he got it. He found a woman, Millie, goes into town, starts asking around. He sees this gal Millie out there chopping wood, making dinner, making lunch for a bunch of men. Some guys try to I can't remember what happened, but she like shoves him over, you know, and she shows a lot of spunk, and Adam's like, hey, that's the gal for me, and then sings this song about bless her beautiful hide, which I thought was pretty funny. You know what, I think he was pretty serious about that. He evidently appreciated her beautiful hide, and he wanted to bless it, which he did. They had a little baby girl at the end of the movie, and that was a beautiful thing. And if you know the story, I don't want to spoil it all for you, but he makes some bad evaluations, and he finally comes to respect more fully the value of a woman, to respect boundaries, and to not treat them like just like objects to be dominated, and that women are equals with men in the most fundamental ways. Which brings us to another interesting question. We talk about equality between men and women. Well, I'll tell you what, that equality is a myth. Yes, we have equality in terms of fundamental rights, but men and women are not equal. They're not the same. Men and women are designed to complement each other. There are many things a woman can do, value a woman can provide, a man absolutely cannot. And the opposite is also true. There are many things that a man can provide, strengths, assets, blessings a man can provide that a woman is often unable to do herself. And if she's forced to, then she really struggles. And so this whole question of equality is often evaluated in a very counterproductive and illogical way. So if we really want to be successful, we want to have happiness and live lives as godly men and women, we need to return to the biblical gender roles that God has established and taught to his children. And I've got an essay. It's on my website, punitivetruth.com. If you go to the essays page, I think it's titled Joy and Happiness in Marriage or something like that. But I would really recommend reading that. I was just reading it last night about 1 a.m. and I think I'm going to go through and add some to it. I'm going to publish that in a book. I can actually publish that because I think there's so much there that needs to be understood and appreciated. When it comes to relationships, we need to all understand that evaluation is always taking place. When you meet anybody, they're going to evaluate. They're going to analyze and evaluate what value you have to bring to the table. And so if you're in the market for a husband or wife, that's something you should be thinking an awful lot about. What value do I have to bring to the table? What are my skills? What are my skill sets? What knowledge do I have? What experience? What are my strengths and weaknesses? And how can I develop all these strengths in such a way that I have the most I can possibly offer, the most value I can possibly offer coming to the table? And so that essay that I wrote talks a lot about that. Well, I think I pretty much covered everything I was going to cover. Maybe I haven't done a very good job, but I did my best. I'm signing off. See if I can take my glove off and hit the stop button. See you guys.